Hello children, let us see the second part of the Unit 5, Lesson 11, Biodiversity and its Conservation. We are going to see today 3 and 5 marks. Last class we have seen about the 2 marks questions all. So let us see the first 3 mark question. So explain the different types of species diversity. So we have 3 types of species diversity, that is alpha diversity, beta diversity and gamma diversity. So what is alpha diversity? It is the measure by counting the number of taxa, that is usually the species we are counting here, and within a particular area and community or ecosystem. So that is called as the alpha diversity. And beta diversity is a species diversity between two adjacent ecosystems and is obtaining by the comparing the number of species unique to each of the ecosystem. So in one ecosystem, what type of organisms are there? In another ecosystem, what type of organisms are there? We will be comparing between them, and then we will be seeing what special organisms are there in one community and which are not available in other communities. So that we will be checking in the beta diversity. And third one is gamma diversity. So gamma diversity, it refers to the diversity of the habitats over the total landscape or the geographical area. So we will be not seeing just only one place or one ecosystem. We will be taking in consideration all the ecosystems or habitats which are present, and we will be comparing the number of organisms in that area. So that is called as the gamma diversity. Then second question, what are exotic species? Give an example. So exotic species are non-native or alien, that is they come from other places which are not native for that particular area, or the organisms often introduced unintentionally or deliberately for commercial purposes as a biological control agents and other uses. So example is tilapia fish, that is Jilebi Kanda in Tamil we call it as, zoological name is Oreochromis mozambicus. So this is the name of the tilapia fish, and it is introduced in the east coast of South Africa in 1952 for its high productivity into Kerala's inland waters, and it became very invasive. That means it started growing very fast, and because of this, what happened, the native species, the local species what were there, they started dying, like fishes like Punitus, Dubius and Labioconitus, and all these started facing extinction. That means almost they are all dead because this organism was not allowing them to grow or feed in that place. So that is the reason these organisms were dying because of the introduction of this tilapia fish. Then third question, what is the most important pattern of biodiversity and how biodiversity affected by different zone of earth? So the most important pattern of biodiversity is longitudinal gradient in the diversity. So diversity increases as one moves towards the temperate zones and reaches the maximum at the tropics. So temperate zones means what? Near the equator region. So tropic means towards the poles, that is called as the tropics. So this means that there is an increase in the diversity of the poles to the equator. So we will be having, when we compare from poles to equator, the organisms started gradually increasing towards the equator. So thus the tropics have more biodiversity than the temperate or polar regions. Then fourth question, how many biogeographic zones is India divided into? So India has been divided into 10 different biogeographic zones. So that is Trans-Himalayas, Himalayas and Indian desert, semi-arid zones, Western Ghats, Deccan Peninsula, Gangetic Plains, Northeast India, coastal region, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So these are the 10 different biogeographic zones what India has been divided into. Then fifth question, write short notes on species area relationship. So what is how species are related to the where they are living, that is relationship how you can give based on the area and the number of species. So the German naturalist and geographer, that is Alexander von Humboldt, explored the wilderness of South American jungles and found that within a region of species, richness increased with increasing area but up to a certain limit. That means when species were there in one particular area, but as we move out of that place, the number of species are reducing in a limit way. That means in a particular time, after some distance, that organisms are not there no more. So that is the thing. So the relation between the species richness and the area of a wide variety of taxa, that is angiosperms or the plants, birds, bats and freshwater fishes, all turned out to be in a rectangular hyperbola. So that is the main thing what we have, the relationship between the species and the area. So you can see that there is a logarithmic scale of the relationship and is a straight line described by the equation log S is equal to log C plus Z log A, where S is the species richness and A is the area and Z is the slope of the line, regression coefficient, and C is the y-intercept. So you can see here you have a hyperbola in this diagram. So this is the species richness and we have a log scale here, which we can see the log S is equal to log C plus Z log A. So this is how the relationship of the species is. So next, sixth question, why sparrows are being in the state of extinct? So now we cannot, once we have abundant sparrows in every place, but why we are not seeing nowadays the sparrows, and what is the cause for the extinct of these organisms is common sparrows are going extinct because of mindless urbanization. That means we are not caring for the nature. So, and all the agricultural lands are becoming all now constructive areas. So that is the urbanization, and they are losing not only just the natural habitats, but also the essential human touch they need and they thrive upon. So that is the main thing. So why we are not able to make the sparrows live in our local areas. So the next one is the population of the sparrows is decreasing due to the use of packaged food, insecticides in the farming and changing lifestyles and matchbox style architecture, resulting in an adequate availability of the food and shelter for the birds. So in olden days, we used to grains for all the birds in the front of our house because we had agriculture, but now such type of agriculture is also reducing, and because of that even our people are not allowing the birds to come and stay inside the house and all. If they nest also, they are removing off because they think that it is a nuisance. So that is some of the things which made the extinct of the species. Unlike pigeons, they make nests on ledges. Sparrows need cavities to build in their houses. So now we don't have such type of cavities in the houses. So that is the reason the sparrows are not able to thrive anymore. The next question, seventh one, over exploitation led decline in biodiversity justified. So we depend on the nature for our basic needs such as food and shelter. So however, when we need becomes more and it leads to over exploitation of the natural resources. So excessive exploitation of species reduces the size of its population and such a level that it becomes susceptible to extinction. So we are using the animals in such a way that we are not leaving the last organism also. So just for the need of greediness, we are killing all the animals. So example is the dodo bird, which became extinct due to the over exploitation of that organism, and overfishing due to the population pressure leads to the extinction of the marine fishes. So now we don't see many types of fishes also in the sea because people started for commercial purpose. They are not allowing even the fishes to spawn. So before they spawn itself, they are being caught and they are being sold to the market. So that is the reason of over exploitation, and this lead to the decline of the biodiversity. Then question number 8, how extinction of dodo bird affect Clavaria tree? So this is a connection between the Clavaria tree and extinction of dodo bird in Mauritius Island, because Clavaria tree is dependent on dodo bird for the completion of its life cycle. That means there is a mutual association between both the things. The Clavaria bird's seed, which is a tough and horny endocarp of the seed, this can be open up only when it is going through the bird's gizzard, and then only that the digestive juices all digest the endocarp, and when it comes out of the digestive system of the bird, then it will be germinated. So that facility is now lost because the dodo birds is extinct, and so that is the reason the clavery plant also started extincting. So that is the main thing. The ninth one, list out the general strategies for biodiversity conservation. So first one is we have to identify and protect all the threatened species and identify and conserve in protected areas the wild relatives of all the economically important organisms, and identify and protect critical habitats for feeding, breeding, nursing and resting of the each species. So resting, feeding and breeding places of the organism should be identified and they should be protected also. So and air and water should also be conserved on priority basis, and Wildlife Protection Act should be implemented strictly. So if the Wildlife Protection Act is very strict, so we can stop the killing of the organisms. So that is the reason when we can stop the killing, we can conserve the species. So that is the main thing. Then 10th one, interdependence of all living components. Explain this term with an example. So in the interrelationship and interdependence of all the living components in a system can be seen from an example of the fruit bats of Goma, that is Southeast Asia. The fruit bats are weak here and hence their population has been decreased, and it results in local fruit production as it has got affected, and then it is identified that the bats served as a pollinator. So when the bat population reduced, the fruit production also reduced accordingly, because they found that the bats were pollinating the flowers and then only the new fruits were coming. So when the bats reduce, the pollination also reduced. So that is the reason. So we can say that if the animals are there, then only even the plants can grow, because they are interdependent. So hence there is a need for the conservation of the diversity. The 11th question, how development of human society affect animal habitat? Next one is, the development of human society is unavoidable. Natural habitats are destroyed for the purpose of settlement, agricultural, mining, industries and a construction of highways. So as a result, species are forced to adapt to those changes in the environment or move to the other places. So if not, they become victim to predation, starvation, disease and eventually die, or results in the human-animal conflict. So this is the consequences when human society develops in an abundant way, so that will kill the animals or can lead to the extinction of the animal's habitat also. Then question number 12, write short notes on bioreserves or BR. So bioreserve was implemented by the government of India in 1986, and there are 18 bioreserves in the country. So in that, Agastya Malai of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, so which is a common place, and Nilgiri, that is which is between the Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and Gulf of Mannar, which is in the Tamil Nadu. So these are the some of the bioreserves which are found in our south side of the Government of India has recognized these as the bioreserve places. Then 13th one, what is zoom cultivation? Or in northeastern states, the zoom culture is a major threat to the biodiversity substantiate. So this is a type of shifting cultivation in which the plots of natural tree vegetation are burned away and then cleared patches are formed for 2 to 3 seasons, and after which their fertility reduces to the point and where the crop production is no longer profitable. So the farmer then abandons that patch and he cut down a new patch of forest trees elsewhere for crop production. So this system is practiced in northeastern regions of India. So when vast areas are cleared and burnt, so it results in loss of forest cover and pollution, discharge of carbon dioxide, which in turn attributes to loss of habitat and climate change, which has an impact of the faunal diversity at that regions. So when we are going on burning these plants, then what will happen? The forest areas will be cleared and no more forest regions will be available. So that also decreases the diversity of the animals. Then 14th question, what are the factors that drive habitat loss? So factors like mining, construction of highways, overpopulation, urbanization, industrialization, agricultural advancements like filling wetlands, plowing grasslands, then cutting down trees and deforestation and caving mountains and changing the course of rivers and filling of the seashores. So these are some of the factors which the driving of the habitat loss. Then question number 15, why do we find a decrease in biodiversity distribution if we move from tropic towards the poles? The reasons for this is, so the decrease in biodiversity distribution in polar regions, that is they are very harsh, that is too cold conditions prevail in those areas and the polar regions, and that is the reason the biodiversity is reduced here, and organisms need a range of temperatures between 25 degrees centigrade to 35 degrees centigrade for most of the metabolic activities, so which is absent in the polar regions. And climate, seasons, temperatures, humidity and photo periods are not supporting the growth of a different variety of organisms here. Then 16th question, compare and contrast the in situ and ex situ conservation. So in situ conservation means it is the on-site conservation of plants or animal species. Ex situ conservation is a conservation of threatened animals and plants in a special care locations. So it is a process of protecting endangered plant and animals and species in its natural habitat. Ex situ conservation helps in the recovering of the populations or preventing their extinction under stimulated conditions. So we are not allowing the population to extinct. So that is called as the ex situ conservation. So examples of in situ conservation are national parks, biospheres, reserves. So these are some of the in situ conservation areas, and ex situ conservation areas are zoological parks and botanical gardens. Then 17th question, how many hotspots are there in India? Name them. So India has 4 biodiversity hotspots, and they are Himalaya, the entire Indian Himalayan region and Western Ghats, then Indo-Burma region, that it includes entire northeastern India except Assam and Andaman group of islands in that. Sundalands, that is it includes the Nicobar group of islands. So these are some of the hotspots in India. Then 18th question, why do animals have greater diversification than plant diversity? So plants are self-dependent, that is they are autotrophic, and their nutrition is so there is no need for variation and adaptation by the plants, and this leads to the limited diversity in the plants. And plant can withstand in any kind of environment condition, but animals need adaptation to suit different environments. This also results in more diversity in the animals than plants. So plants cannot move from one place to another. So that is the reason they have to adapt themselves to the changing environment. But animals can move. So that is the reason you can see different diversity in the animals rather than plants. Then question number 19. Interdependence of all living components. Explain this term with an example. So interrelationship and interdependence of all living components in a system can be seen from an example of fruits of Guam, that is Southeast Asia. So this is the fruit bats are weak here and hence their population has decreased. So it results in local fruit production, and as got affected, then it was identified that the bats served as a pollinator, hence there is a need for conservation of diversity. Question number 20, what do you mean by zoo ambassador and highlight its importance? So Arindar Anna Zoological Park at Vandalur has opened a school called as the Zoo School to do education and outreach the programs, and one such successful program is the Zoo Ambassador conducted for the school children. So in year 2018, more than 400 students were trained and titled as Zoo Ambassadors. So they have been given a title of Zoo Ambassadors when they learn that program and when they learn how to implement or how to save and conserve the organisms. Then let us go to the 5 marks question now. Extinction of a keystone species lead to loss of biodiversity, justify. So definition of keystone species you have to write first. So keystone species is a species that has excessively large effect on its natural environment to its abundance. So keystone species is an organism that helps define an entire ecosystem. Extinction of keystone species leads to the extinction of another or seize another organism. That keystone species is lost, then it can help and it can lead to the loss of other species also which are depending on that species. So example is orchid bees and forest trees by cross pollination, and extinction of one will automatically cause the extinction of the others. So another example is dodo in Mauritius Island, and there is a direct relationship between the clavaria tree and the extinct bird of Mauritius Island, the dodo. So in this, the clavaria tree is dependent on the dodo bird for the completion of its life cycle, and its tough horny endocarp of the seeds of clavaria tree are made permeable by the actions of the large stones of birds, gizzard and digestive juices, thereby facilitating easier germination, and the extinction of the dodo bird led to the extinction of the clavaria tree. So that is the relationship, how it has caused the loss. Then second question, why is biodiversity so important and worthy of protection? So biodiversity is essential for stability of an ecosystem. So biodiversity serves as a source of food and provides source materials for new improved varieties. So biodiversity has scientific value also, as different animal species are used for biological and medical research, and various products of human use can be obtained from rich biodiversity. For example, like gums, resins, dyes, paper, fibers, etc. And variety of plant species provide innumerable drugs and medicines. Example is morphine, quinine. So these are the products which are obtained from the plants. Then third one, alien species invasion is a threat to the endemic species. Substantiate the statement. So exotic species or organisms often introduced unintentionally or deliberately for commercial purpose as biological control agents and other uses. They often become invasive and drive away the local species, and is considered as the second major cause of the extinction of the species. So exotic species have proved harmful to both aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. So example of this is tilapia fish, that is the Gilebi kandai, that is Oreochromis mozambicus, was introduced in the South Africa for its high commercial productivity into the Kerala's inland water and became invasive, due to which the native species such as the Punitus dubius and Labio cornutus face a local extinction. Then another example is papaya mealybug, so which is called as Paracoccus marginatus. So it is a native of Mexico and Central America, and it is believed to have destroyed huge crops of papaya in Assam, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. And next point is the introduction of the Nile perch, a predatory fish, into the lakes of Victoria in East Africa led to the extinction of an ecologically unique assemblage of more than 200 native species of chinchid fish in the lake. So this is the some of the examples which led to the exotic species. Then fourth one, mention the major threats to biodiversity caused by human activities, explain. So apart from natural causes, human activities both directly and indirectly are today's main reason for habitat loss and biodiversity loss. So India is one of the 17 identified megadiversity countries of the world, but it faces lots of threats to its biodiversity. So large animals, by virtue of their size, require larger area to obtain the necessities of life, food cover, mates than do the smaller animals. So we have larger animals need more food and they need more space and they need many mates than the smaller animals. So example, the single lion need about 100 square kilometers. And fragmentation and degradation due to agricultural practices, extraction like mining, fishing, logging, harvesting and development, and settlements, industrial and associated infrastructure leads to the habitat loss and fragmentation, and which leads to the formation of isolated, small and scattered populations and as an endangered species. Some of the other threats include specialized diet, specialized habitat requirement, large size, small size population, limited geographic distribution, and high economic and commercial value. So these are the points you have to write for this question. And fifth one, list out various causes of biodiversity losses. So the major causes for the reduction of biodiversity are introduction of the alien or exotic species, and habitat loss, fragmentation and destruction, which affects about 73% of all species, and population and pollutants like smog, pesticides, herbicides, oils leaks and greenhouse gases, all these lead to the biodiversity losses, and climatic change and co-extinction. Then overexploitation of resources like poaching, indiscriminate cutting of trees, overfishing, hunting, mining, intensive agriculture and aquacultural practices, hybridization between native and non-native species, and loss of native species, and natural disasters like tsunami, forest fire, earthquake, volcanoes, and industrialization, urbanization, infrastructure development, transport, communication towers, dam construction, unregulated tourism, all are the areas of specific threats. Then sixth question, how can we contribute to promote biodiversity conservation? So we can conserve biodiversity by identifying and protecting all the threatened species, identify and conserve in protected areas in wild relatives of all the economical important organisms. Air, water and soil should be conserved on priority basis, and Wildlife Protection Act should be implemented, and identify and protect the critical habitats for feeding, breeding, nursing, resting of each species, and resting, feeding and breeding places of the organism should be identified and protected. Then seventh one, write a note on protected areas, wildlife sanctuaries and WWF. So the protected areas are, these are biogeographical areas where biological diversity along with natural and cultural resources is protected, maintained and managed through legal measures. So protected areas include national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, community reserves, biosphere reserves, and World Conservation Monitoring Center has recognized 37,000 protected areas worldwide. India has about 771 protected areas covering about 1,62,099 kilometers, comprising of national parks of 104, wildlife sanctuaries of 544, bioreserves and several scare groves. Still, we have many questions. You can read from your textbook. I hope you understand what are the important questions you will be getting from this lesson. So, it is very easy lesson, the exam. Thank you.